Hello all of my awesome gamers. Today we are going to be breaking down all of the mem cake one by one. We're going to start with line A and make our way all the way down to line J. We're going to learn all of the lore hidden in the mem cake. Also note this is the English version of the mem cakes and not the Japanese version. So if anything's different in the Japanese translations, those ones are the ones that are canon. Most likely at least. But to my knowledge, I don't think there's very much of a difference. Without any further delay, let's get into breaking down the Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion mem cake. Inkling Squid. At last we meet my so-called foe, but it's our fate to spray this hate. Perhaps we'll learn in depth below. So basically what this is being described here is 8's inner conflict about what seems to be them battling Agent 3 before Octo Expansion starts. We can really tell if they don't want to do this and that they don't really believe that fighting Agent 3 is the right thing to do and that Agent 3 is their enemy. Inkling Girl Pink. With tresses pink and eyes a blank, a smile so faint it hides your faint, you slip on past, outfoxed, outflanked. So we see here some more of 8 and 3's battle here, and we actually learned something here. To my best interpretation, it seems like Agent 3 wasn't exactly trying to do their hardest to beat Agent 8. We've got a little bit of a play on words here to break down. A smile so faint it hides your faint. So it seems here like Agent 8 is describing 3. The tresses of pink and the eyes of blank are 8 describing themselves, with the pink tentacles. So it seems to me like 3 doesn't really want to fight Agent 8 either. Maybe they heard 8 humming the calamari incantation and decided to go easy on them. Inkling Girl Orange. You paint the turf graceful strokes. With watchful eye I breathe a sigh. From sniper's perch I go for bro. So at first I had a hard time trying to interpret this one. Why would 8 be sniping? Until I remembered that the male 8 amiibo features 8 with an E leader. I don't think that 8 is trying to describe the battle with 3 here. I think what this is referring to is sometime in Octo Valley. My reasoning for this is because if it were about 3, then wouldn't it connect to Inner Agent 3 in the battle that they had there? And you played that one with an Octo shot, not a charger. So if I'm correct here, then that would mean that Agent 8 was a sniper in the Octarian army at some point. Inkling Boy Green. The rolling column splatters all. Stray shot shakes the trees awake. The summer turns, here comes the fall. The rolling column being described here is probably a shot from the charger that 8 was talking about before. Well, actually, they were talking about a charger post, but I guess it really doesn't matter a whole ton. But the description of a stray shot leaves me a little confused on whether or not this is 8 just shooting at a random target, or someone that they can't see, or maybe someone shooting at them. I think I'm going to say the first one because it's a lot more likely that their line of summer turns, here comes the fall. I think this describes the time they spent with the Octarians, meaning they spent so much time working for them that the seasons just kept going by until they were freed in what they saw and how the world really was with the calamari incantation. Inkling Boy Blue. You gaze seaward with azure hope. Between each blink you calmly think, as when you use a splatter scope. I think this is still about 8 being in Octo Valley, sometime after you break free of hypnosis. They're looking towards the sea from Octo Valley, calmly thinking for themselves and who even knows how long. I could be totally wrong on this one though, it took me a pretty long time just to formulate this idea. This was a tough one to break down. Octarian. The world I knew seems like a trap. I'm drawn now to strange and new. What would my old friends think me a sap? This one's actually pretty sad, but it reveals some things. 8 appears to be dealing with some imaginary peer pressure, thinking that they'd be looked down upon if they'd like the Octo Valley to the new world. But what's most interesting here is this implies that 8 didn't pack up and leave Octo Valley as soon as they heard the incantation. It sounds like they tossed and turned on the idea of leaving for a while before actually committing to it, which would explain how Octolings like Marina arrived in Nicopolis before 8. Tentacle Octarian. The fat and heavy locks hang low. They frame your face above a base of stumpy leg and pigeon toe. I love this one a lot. I find it hilarious how 8 describes the Tentacle Octo Troopers. Judging by 8 describing them as stumpy-legged and pigeon-toed, it sounds like for some reason they just didn't like the Tentacle Octarians, or maybe they're just describing one that they really didn't like. Well, whatever reason it is, honestly I freaking love this description. Octocopter. A hilltop picnic. Friends and fruit. Their whirling blades provide us shade. I raise a hand in mock salute. Here we've got a personal experience of a picnic that 8 attended, where it seems like this Octo Trooper was the shade of their group on a sunny day. This all sounds weird because what we know about Octarian society is described as a strict and harsh place to be in, but here we're learning of a fun experience that 8 had there. Maybe this was just a fluke and 8's only remembering the good memories and repressing the bad ones. Autobomber. Destroy your troubles, bombs away, a tempting thought, bring all to naught. No wonder your friends tend to stray. It's hard to tell if 8 is describing the Octobomber's friends leaving it or their friends leaving them, but seeing as how the last few entries have been about all the other ranks of troopers, I'm gonna assume this is about Octobomber, and it sounds like this one Octobomber they know is having a hard time keeping a relationship. Tentacook. Your face away, thinking me blind, like I don't know what you won't show. Your love is still clear from behind. This seems like another troubled relationship they had with an Octarian friend. This one is having a hard time showing love to 8. Seems like there's a common theme of distance growing between 8 and the Octarians. Octopod. So principled you might explode, but when you burst, who's really cursed? Your loved ones have to bear that load. Holy crap, this one is dark. So if I am hearing this correct, it seems like octopods are actually sentient Octarians rather than just mindless drones. So if the whole your loved ones have to bear that load thing means that octopods formed relationships with the Octarians, does that mean that the octopods are really just suicide bombers? That is really dark. There's another reminder there of just how horrible Octarian life really is. Octostamp. It seems to you a sly attack, but for your pains, you make no gains. You only get shot in the back. I really like this mem cake. It makes the Octostamps seem like really young Octarians who aren't really trained yet. It describes that their attack of jumping down to smash ink onto their opponents is dumb because it reveals their weak spot. But the Octostamp can't see what it's doing is wrong and harmful to itself. Octo Zeppelin. How loftily you float on high, suspended in the starry air, as you drip purple passing by. There's not a whole ton here, it's literally just 8 admiring the Octo Zeppelins. Not really much to see here. Tentacle. How desolate the star-marked limb. Is what awaits me the same fate? I must not dwell. It's much too grim. So, this one's another really grim one. It seems like the Octarians can be turned into these tentacles that come out of the octo weapons we fight in boss battles. It's not known how this process happens or how the selection takes place, but all we can see is that 8 really does not want it to happen to them, and they are very afraid of it. Octoling. Though parted by the ocean deep, my oldest friend, we meet again. I touch your face, you rouse from sleep. So here we've got 8 describing their best friend who seems to have split apart for some reason. Maybe 8's choice to leave Octo Valley. There's not really any way to determine this because of how little detail there is here. Chum. You overwhelm with crowds and throngs. At every turn, you wreathe and churn. Ooh, gosh, that's hard to pronounce. Why can't we simply get along? We see here more of 8's passive side in this one. Just their observations on salmonids and how they don't understand the need for violence with them. Fryfish. Now nights grow long as summer abates. The tide recedes as squid stampede. With fireworks we celebrate. I'm really not too sure about this one. I don't know why they're talking about a celebration when Inklings are starting a salmon run, but for whatever reason, they are. Scrapper. Your moaner whines, the ocean roars. No ink can halt your firm assault. Let these invaders know the score. This one looks like a pretty spicy one. Looks like Agent 8 has some salmonid sympathies. Seems like they're pretty anti-salmon run and anti-Grizzco to some extent. Stinger. When problems stack too tall to see, just tip away, and day by day, you'll grow to live a life carefree. This one doesn't seem to hold anything interesting to the lore. This to me really seems like it's just a metaphor for life troubles and how they relate to defeating a stinger. You chip away at their height, splat them, and that's where the pun comes from. Steelhead. Where love could blossom, spite congeals. Faced with these thieves, I aimed and heave a cluster bomb right in the feels. So this seems to me even more salmonid sympathies. This is about how they feel about the theft of the salmonid eggs and how they seem to be upset with it. And by they, I mean Agent 8, not the salmonid. Steel eel. The hunt leads down a winding path, tightly coiled and well oiled. These dirty squids could use a bath. So if you really needed any more proof that 8 is anti-salmon run and anti-Grizzco, this is basically the confirmation. I mean, they literally call the squids participating in salmon run dirty. Not much to it. 8 hates salmon run. Maws. Erupting eel glimpses sky. Its eyelids squint against the glint of sun, unseen by creatures shy. This one's just another description of 8's interpretation on how salmonids work. This one being Maws. Nothing really deep here. Drizzler. A sudden drizzle bars my way. It's no hour for this shower, but light rain won't ruin my day. This one's just another metaphor. 8 had some experience with rain. They went on and they weren't going to let the rain stop them. Just like the players can't be stopped by splatting the drizzlers as they shoot the ink storm out. Goldie. Each glittered scale shines so bright. You're my last ditch to strike it rich and tilt my bank balance right. So this one brings up some confusion. 8 reveals that they're very anti-salmon run beforehand, but they're talking about becoming rich from a Goldie, and the only way to do this is by splatting the Goldie and having it drop all of its golden eggs. Maybe they don't want to do this, but they have to for the money, for some unknown reason. Spawn point. Finality's not what it seems. When your end comes, rise and run. Don't let defeat dissolve your dreams. This one seems to be a little piece of inspiration that 8 lives by, probably in the manifestation of a spawn point because it's something that makes them think of the quote, because it brings you back to life after being splatted. Tower. I topple from the tower ledge and choke back tears, see the gears, and eliminate our hard-won edge. Agent 8 is about to start making everyone say same for the next few entries because the next few are about ranked battle experiences. I think we've all had those moments when we were on the tower and accidentally slip off and the other team immediately punishes you for it. Rainmaker. We're torn apart so many times, I must be bold to keep my hold, to make their team pay for their crimes. I think the words tore apart are describing popping the Rainmaker bubble over and over again because others keep dropping it. After that, it's more 8 being determined to win the ranked battle match. Power Clam. When 4 are 1, they make a team, but 1 from 10, come again? It's like some kind of fever dream. Here we've got 8 calling Clamlets a fever dream. I could not agree more. Bumper. You teach virtues of the still, and yet I'm spurned, the lesson learned. My problem is I have no chill. This one's about 8 trying to shoot someone who's behind a bumper, and we see that their low temper often leads to them shooting the bumper and not the opponent in their fits of excitement. Squid Bumper. Another squid I'm gonna hurl. It's just this litter, please consider how we Octolings see the world. So this one gives us a little bit of insight into 8's feelings. 8 gets annoyed from all the squid themed items everywhere. I always chalked it up to the Inklings having a different culture, so maybe it's more normal for them to have their sign of their people everywhere, but nope, other species in the Splatoon world find what the Inklings are doing weird too. Balloon. Oblivious, adrift, and round. You hold inside a tempting prize. Who doesn't love that popping sound? Nothing much here, just what 8 thinks about balloons. Tree. To plant a tree is its own reward. After you're gone, it will grow on in memory. Initial scarred. This one's more philosophical than most of the other ones. This one deals with how trees will outlive us after we're gone, and we plant them and nurture them, and they'll be here long after we are. Splattershot. The polished nozzle gleams and shines. Unblemished gun reflects the sun. A good day's match. Victory's mine. There isn't a whole ton here. We do get to learn that along with chargers, 8 also really likes Splattershot. Splat Roller. I shake the squeegee to and fro. As I do, laps my color sap. A fair trade for a mighty blow. This one I'm having a really hard time making sense of this. I'm not really sure what the squeegee has to do with anything with the context here. If you guys have any idea what it means, let me know in the comments below. Splat Bomb. Closer to pyramids and spheres. Let the bombs fly. A sigh, then calm. A pillow stained with ink or tears. So I'm gonna have to give some interpretation here. This goes from a depiction of a splat bombs until we get the line, a pillow stained with ink or tears. In my opinion, this may be about some trauma that 8 has built up from their Octarian days. Of course, I've got nothing to back this up because like I said, this one's interpretive, but I don't have any other idea of what this could be about and why 8 would be crying over a splat bomb. Burst bomb. Not everyone can be a scourge in tense combat. I tossed the splat, a monument to my last surge. So if I had to take a shot on what this one means, I think it has to do with 8 getting splatted in a battle. I think this because of them saying a monument to my last surge, and with this description being found under the burst bomb mem cake, I think it's about how 8 tried to throw out a burst bomb to at some point to take the enemy out with them when they died in battle. I think we can all relate to having our own moments like that. Suction bomb. Though it flies, errant or a miss, should its sly arc hit near mark, your fate is sealed with its kiss. So this one's pretty obvious. It's just a description of how the suction bomb splats opponents, disguised in poetry, but I'm sorry, like, bro, the words your fate is sealed with its kiss just sound so freaking hilarious when the face that's quote unquote kissing you is this. Curling bomb. No stealth or guile, not for you. You paved the way as plain as day, foreshadowing imminent spew. So we're gonna use some more interpretation here, at least for part of this. So the word guile really piqued my interest here. One way to define the word guile would be cunning intelligence. This sticks out to me because the Seeker from Splatoon 1 was kind of broken in half to make the curling bomb and the Autobomb. So it sounds like here we have 8 calling curling bombs Seekers without the intelligence to, well, see. And after that we have you paved the way plain as day, foreshadowing imminent spew, which is just about the lines of ink they make before they explode. Autobomb. It's friendly face, it's easy stride, that's all up front. Let me be blunt, it leaves you with nowhere to hide. This one's just another observation of how the weapon's description is just masked behind poetry. Nothing really interesting here. Toxic mist. The sickly sweet aroma spreads. Its stagnant arms bring only harm, along with sluggish looming dread. Okay, so I think this one's actually kind of funny. So if you guys have ever seen like that hit Toxic Mist Splatoon meme, where like a Splatoon character is like high on Toxic Mist, and they said something so stupid that it would only make sense if you were high, well, maybe that's not too inaccurate. From what we have here, it doesn't seem like it totally intoxicates the Inkling the same way as something like weed intoxicates a person, but it apparently has a sweet aroma and has negative effects on the person inhaling it. So maybe Toxic Mist is some form of a hallucinogen, but the jury's still out on if Inklings and Octolings are hitting Toxic Mist as a recreational drug, and I don't think Nogami's gonna give us an answer to that one anytime soon. Pearl. I rule, you said. It's in my blood. Don't step to me, especially if you can't hang with my best bud. So here we've got some pretty typical Pearl dialogue that 8 heard her say at one point, and then she says some stuff about Marina and then throws her into the friend zone. Not much here besides that. Sorry, Marina. Marina. They told me you had gone to ground, and your rad grooves was concrete proof that you had made it safe and sound. So here we've got some interesting lore that helps confirm my idea from that one mem cake that I'd mentioned earlier. 8 spent some time still in Octo Valley before leaving after hearing the calamari incantation. We knew that Marina was a higher up Octarian from the profile picture that Captain Cuttlefish dropped, but now we've got some evidence that shows that Marina's disappearance was a pretty big deal in Octo Valley. So much at least to the point where they'd tell a 14-year-old Octoling that a higher up Octarian left Octo Valley. Flo. 2 friends who are never apart. One's always cool, the other one's stews. I love them both with all my heart. This one gives us a little more info on the relationship that 8 has with some of the store owners. They think Flo is nice and that Creen gets on their nerves, but in the end they love them very both. Jelfonzo. I watch your tendrils undulate, a blue bouquet that twists and swirls as center mass swells and deflates. So if you're like me and need a description for what some of these words mean before we keep going, a tendril is almost like a stem, and undulate means to move or go with a smooth up and down like motion. So that's talking about Jelfonzo's those tentacles flowing up and down, and how he swells and deflates. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and make a little theory based off of what I just heard here. If Jelfonzo's central mass is what his head is, and he can inflate it and deflate it, does that mean that the jellyfish that are capable of becoming these weird shaped jellyfish that we see in Octo Expansion and the Splatoon 3 trailer are all capable of doing this weird deflate and inflate thing? I've got no idea here, but that's just a theory I came up with pretty quickly. Sheldon. Slosher, Inkbrush, Curling Bomb? I'd gladly browse for hours and hours. Your gushing ramble brings me calm. So this one's actually sets up something pretty important for pretext to Agent 8's info card that we got during the Final Fest, where it says Sheldon might be looking to hire 8 come work at Ammonite. So 8 and Sheldon definitely have made a strong bond over the years. Who knows? Maybe 8 and Sheldon will run Ammonite in Splatsville in Splatoon 3. Bisque. Black, bulging eyes stare far inside. What does he see deep within me? From his sharp gaze, no one can hide. So Bisque and 8 aren't as close as they are with Sheldon and Flo. They're more curious about what Bisque thinks about them and others, thus proving that they're not really as close as they are with some of the other store owners. Krusty Sean. How long must I wait in this line? Such a tragic lack of Krusty snack. I'm almost there. It will be mine. So this one gives us some info into the popularity of the crust bucket, which apparently is really popular, which is visible with 8 being stuck in a long line. We don't get to see it in game, but it's good to know that my favorite fictional food truck owner is doing okay for his business. Merch. Behind his door, one-eyed stare, our urchin friend conceals a yen for making the most out of our year. So we've got a little more weird wordplay here, and for anyone like me who needs some more definitions explained, door means relentless or severe, and yen in this context is something like a craving. So Merch really wants to fix our gear for us. It's one of his passions, which is something we kind of already know. We know that Merch wants to be just like Spike, and that just adds a little more evidence to it. Judd and Lil Judd. A patch of sun, a fresh caught fish, no bribe will swerve your eye for turf. However, desperately we wish. Oh ho 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 ho, we got some tea in this one. So we've probably all heard the joke that Splatfists are rigged and stuff like that, but it sounds like in the lore there have actually been people trying to bribe Judd, and for some reason I find that freaking hilarious. Just some Inkling or Octling going up to Judd and just trying to like slap some like turf war coins on him or something. I don't even know what the currency is called, honestly. The currency is just that irrelevant, but that's hilarious to me, honestly. Mr. Grizz. Oh, what I would give to be employed. Better, I'd say, to work for pay than to ride the subway through the void. So we've got some issues with this one. This is totally out of character from what we've heard of 8. We've heard them say that they don't want to lurk for Salmon Run and they don't like what they do. So we've got 2 possibilities. 1, this is 8 saying that they'd rather work for Grizzco than being the Deep Sea Metro. Or 2, this is poor translation. I got no way to prove this one because I'm not good at translating, but maybe a more accurate English translation is real, but we just never really got it over here. It's no way to know until we see the actual Japanese translation. 10 attack. Our sweat dripping from every pore. The harsh hot sun won't stop this run. We grit our teeth and ask for more. I'm having a hard time breaking this one down. I can't pinpoint any event in 8's life that would link to this description, but to the sounds of it, it sounds like 8 is going through a rough, hot environment and not stopping. The only thing that really comes to my mind here is this unused sunburnt skin tone Octoling, but I can't think of anything after that. Zeko. I hate the sea, but love the breeze. Sandy shore I will endure, just for that brisk, Zephyrus tease. Yeah, I said that right. I guess this one's just about how 8 likes the breeze from a beach a lot. I don't think there's anything that branches off from anything, and I don't think this has anything to do with the brand Zeko. Skalop. A scallop brand atop your crown will turn some heads, but really shreds when it's simply turned around. Okay, so I guess I was wrong, and some of these do talk about the brands. I guess what we have here is some of 8's fashion taste, and that's kind of really it. Squid Force. Squids often wear this as they strike, with bomb and brush, quite a rush. I wish I could know what that was like. This one gives us more insight into 8's feelings about Inkling culture and how they feel like an outsider. This entry also shows us more examples of 8 hating Inkling icons that are all over Inkopolis. Firefin. Your toot is righteous, as you say. Is your science as defiant? Prove it that your battle rhymes can slay. So I think this one's about how Firefin wearers are seen as more immature than other Inklings and Octolings, so I think that this is 8 giving their opinion on what they think about the Firefin users in this description. Zink. I see you standing there in the rain, within a storm, forever warm, powerful as a hurricane. This one is kind of difficult to interpret. I think this one's maybe about an opponent that 8 has faced, maybe it's Agent 3, not really sure though. And in this context of the mem cake, the opponent must be wearing some form of Zink clothing. Nothing super big to note here though. Inkline. Put down the phone, go shelve your book, get ready to champ, it's time to camp. We'll share a drink right from the brook. So this one's another entry that relates back to the brand. Inkline as a brand sells outdoor clothing, so this whole camping thing makes a lot of sense in the context of Inkline. Toni Kensa. Constructed of glass and concrete, a steady stays dull, drab grays, till we splash color on its roots. So I find this one a little ironic. This talks about drab colors, but this entry is under Toni Kensa's, the brand notorious for their black and white colors. So maybe 8 doesn't like Toni Kensa Kensa due to their lack of color? I don't know, this one's another tricky one. Junior Mark. Mistakes of youth teach us a lot. We skate too fast and have a blast and quickly learn not to get caught. I think this one's another play on the word junior here. It's just some life advice about being young. I don't think there's much here. Slow your roll, mole. When going through here, play it cool, or get a clue and don't go through. I won't bend on this. Them's the rules. So this one's kind of about how slow your roll, mole, which if you didn't know, that's the name of this dude. But in the context of this icon, it's Neo's construction branch. Yes, they make more than weapons. So the whole mem cake here is about how you need to be careful in construction areas. I Ship It logo, which apparently I Ship It is the name of this little dude here that we've all seen, but we really couldn't put a name on before. I pack my feelings in a box, a parcel stuffed with hope and love, and trimmed with stamps unorthodox. This one's making me a little curious on the logistics of leaving Octo Valley. Did they ship their belongings from Octo Valley to Inkopolis? I'm just not sure what else they'd be shipping. I don't know, but I've got no proof to back this up. It just seems a little weird. Familiar graffiti. I've seen this one, but I'm not aware just what the splat I'm looking at. Is it a frog or a brown bear? I think this one's just 8 being confused on where they've seen this logo before. Dude, I swear I've seen this logo somewhere in Undertale before. I don't know though, dude. Lil Max. How I admire Lil Max. The highest rank to be so swank that my rivals have heart attacks. I think this one's just 8 showing how they have an interest in little cutesy kind of things. Just a little more info into 8's likes. Marie. The tide goes out and take the light. How will I greet you when we meet? It keeps me up on ink-stained nights. This one's pretty cool. I think so because we know that Octo Expansion and Hero Mode 2 take place at the same time. And during that, we know Marie was still pretty racist towards Octarians. So I wonder if this was 8 wondering if Marie would be okay with 8 when they meet. Callie. Your song inspired a blush of love. It gave my heart a fresh new start. Now I ascend to shores above. This one kind of got me thinking. I never took to Bomb Rush Blush being one of those songs that like really touched Inklings and Octolings because I was always under the impression it was just super poppy and didn't have much substance, and Marie's Tide Goes Out was much deeper and with it being a slower song. But apparently Bomb Rush Blush is a pretty deep song that at least touched 8 pretty deep. DJ Octavio. I leave without ceremony. Don't be too sore. I wanted more. My sincerest apology. So this one talks about the relationship between 8 and Octavio, and clearly they had some care for him, and they probably wouldn't have left Octo Valley if he wasn't such an abusive dictator. There isn't a whole lot to break down here besides the fact that 8 cared for Octavio. Maybe the same way a child who leaves their home because they wanted more than what a parent could give them, if that makes any sense. Sardinium. When I get my hands on these fish, I might exchange them on the range, except that they look so delish. So it looks like Sardinium was used for some like small trade between Octarians back in Octo Valley. Also, I think 8 is joking about them looking so quote-unquote delish because these things are obviously made out of metal and not able to be consumed. Sunken Seroll. A mystery rolled up and bound. Oh, what's the use? It's too obtuse. I'll just dump it in the lost and found. So here we see something that we already knew, which is that apparently in-game people really don't care about the Sunken Serolls, even though they give important information that Inklings and Octolings may not know. Key. Beneath the summer sky I walk, through the valley, plain and back again, dreaming of what you might unlock. There's not a whole much here to talk about, just a little story about 8 finding some random key. Mini Zapfish. The rhythm etched in a little jolt. Those idols sing and put a spring in my steps as I crank the volt. So this one I don't think has anything to do with actual mini Zapfish. I think this is 8 talking about their feelings on hearing the calamari incantation for the first time, because they mentioned the idols and the quote-unquote the rhythm etched in the little jolt, which makes me think about how calamari incantation is etched into the DNA of Inklings and Octolings. Zapfish. Etched in a sturdy sphere of glass, it breaks my heart to you caught, with whiskers trembling as I pass. So here we see 8 feels bad for the Zapfish and how they're treated by the Octarians, but we also learned that the Zapfish really don't like being with the Octarians. I've seen the theory that the Zapfish like being with the Octarians and not the Inklings, but we can see from 8's description that the Zapfish do not like being with the Octarians. Power Egg. Through slick and slime, I keep my grip. The chill seeps through my gift from you. I mustn't let this cargo slip. So I think what we're seeing here is maybe a mission that 8 went on at some point with the Octarians, and if this mission was delivering power eggs, I don't really know for sure here, but the one thing confirmed here is that power eggs are slippery, so take from that what you will. White tea. I don't quite trust this dark white brand. It's more for squids or little kids. And where's the pop? It's oh so bland. This one shows us some of more 8's opinions on fashion around Inkopolis and how they don't like boring things that don't pop. So I wonder if they really don't like Toni Kensa's clothing too. King Tank. This swells a stir of royal pride. In small or large, you lead the charge. The ink of nobles flows inside. 8 seems to be a fan of King and their brand and what they represent, which I find a little odd because King has a giant squid on it, and 8's already said before that they don't like the squid themes everywhere in Inkopolis. Skalop Hoodie. On colder days, I like these clothes. With other threads, I'd stay in bed. It's too frigid to be exposed. This one's kind of just 8 saying they like to wear warmer clothes when it's cold out. Okay. Mint Dacronic. I think that's how you pronounce that at least. I see you walking walking down the street. You think you're slick in those line kips, but they'd look fresher on my feet. I like this one a lot. Just 8 dissing someone else saying that they'd look better in a pair of the shoes than someone else. No lore here, just fun pettiness from 8. Neon Sea Slugs. The squishing footsteps trudge in muck. Their path revealed by heavy heel. My heart beats quick, a stroke of luck. So it sounds like 8 got lost somewhere and found their way through the footprints of someone wearing a pair of neon sea slugs, but this is once again my interpretation, so once again, take from that what you will. Orange arrows. Such devilish Maycare couture. The colors clash and make a splash. Without a doubt, footwear du jour. Alright, word breakdown time. So couture means high fashion design, and du jour means of the day in French. So this mem cake talks about how 8 really likes the orange arrows a whole ton. Yeah, there's not a whole ton of lore in the final line. Takoroka Mesh. It keeps the elements away. No rain, nor heat, nor wind, nor sleet. But does it guard against ink spray? This one is once again 8 talking about how they like things in fashion. In this case, the Takoroka Mesh hat. That is literally it. Knitted hat. No matter thickness, brim, or gauge, a well done pearl or will awe the world. These handmade hats are all the rage. This one is just 8 talking about how everyone likes the Firefin knitted hat, including me. So that is it. That is all the mem cakes broken down to the best of my ability. My apologies if I messed some of these up. I'm really not too good with poetry, but I tried my hardest to do a thorough breakdown of some of the more confusing in-game lore from Splatoon. But anyways, that is it from me. But wait, did you know that only 16.4% of viewers who watch this channel are actually subscribed? I know, that is way too low. So I've got an offer for all the unsubscribed viewers out here today. If you subscribe today, there's a slight chance that you will receive all of the memories from the mem cake. That's right, you will release all memories of your past about all your friends, family, loved ones, and best experience you've ever had in exchange for horrifying trauma of being locked away in an underground test facility for an undetermined amount of time. The odds are low, but never impossible. Alright gamers, I will see you all later. Bye.